On page 645, the first thing we're going to do is join the tables. Now, when we did that in design view, it really wasn't that big of a deal. We just used two tables. And in here, using the two tables isn't that big of a deal either, except that it does add one thing extra. You have to add the name of the table if a field is, on any field that you use, it has to have the name of the table that you're getting it from included. So on page 646, we're going to switch to the SQL view. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our select is going to have our customer number. So we're going to take out everything that we already have and understand that we are going to use two different tables in this one. So starting out, we're going to use customer number, close bracket, comma, space, customer name, close bracket, comma, space. Might have to put the opening bracket also. After customer name is, we will do bracket customer. Now this is the table. Then we put a period in the field we want to get from the customer table. Open bracket, book rep number. Now book rep number is in both of the tables that we're going to use. In this case, they want us to use the book rep number from the customer table. Comma, space, first name with your open bracket and your closed brackets. And then comma, space, open bracket, last name, close bracket. Now the from, we are using two different tables. In this case, we will use the customer table and the book rep table. So we need to add the book rep table into our from. Now, let's get rid of these last three lines. In this case, we are selecting the customer number and the customer name. And in the customer table, we're going to get the book rep number. Now that's in there because that is in both tables. So you have to specify which table it's coming from that you want to use. We'll also use the first name and the last name. We're from customer table, book rep table. So both of those are in there. Click below your from. And now we're going to put the limiter where. Remember, it's in all caps because it is a command. Space. Now, we're going to tell it which table, customer table, bracket customer, close the bracket. Then we have to tell it the field. So, period, open bracket, book, rep, number, close bracket, equals, from the book rep table, so open bracket, book, rep, close bracket, period, and we tell it which field, open bracket, book, rep, number, close bracket. Now, so we're not too confused, let me show you. They want us to select the customer number, customer name, book rep number from the customer table, first and last name. We are using the customer table and the book rep table, and our limiter is we're going to use the ones where the customer, from the customer table, the book rep number equals the book rep number from the book rep table. That is our limiter. Now we're going to put this in order by. So order by is also a command in all caps, order by. open bracket, customer number. So we're going to put this in ascending order by customer number. Okay, quick question. Do you remember what descending order is? How to do that one? If you said DESC, then you are correct. The last thing we have is our semicolon. Click on our view and you will see that we have customer number, customer name, book rip number, and first and last name here. Now go back, let's save. And this is going to be query 20. Now we're going to restrict or put a limiter on our query. Go to your SQL view. Now we're going to add in some more information, still using two tables, but we're going to add in to the where an and we're also going to use a date. Now a date always have pound signs before and after it in Access. So that's how Access knows that it's a date, because there's a pound sign before and after. Now before, your design view did that for you, but here in SQL you're doing it yourself, so you have to type that in. So the first thing we have is our select stays the same, but we want to click at the very end of it, and we're going to add in start date. So after last name, do comma space, open bracket, start date, and close bracket. Then click at the end of the where, hit enter, and let's add our additional limiter, and in all caps. So now we're looking for where the customer table and the book rip table both have book rip number, that they are equal, and so they have to be equal, and they have to have a start date less than or equal to May 1st, 2014. Okay, so and start date, we'll have to do the brackets, start date, close brackets, less than sign, and since it's a number we have to do the pound sign, or hashtag like people call it now. That's kind of funny. Pound sign 5 for May 5th, 5/1/2014, and then a pound sign to close that out, so that Access knows that that is a date. We leave our order by, and of course a semicolon, and we go to view. And notice that we have our dates and they are in order. Okay? So we will save that. And this is going to be query 21. And say OK. Now, page 649. Now this is the one that starts confusing people, and it is a little confusing. What we're going to do is join a table to itself. So instead of having two separate tables, we will have the same table referencing itself two different ways. In order to do that, we have to assign the table an alias or a new name for that table. In this case, they're going to have us call our customer table F and customer table S. Now, we have to start out with it in our select line, even though we haven't created them here yet. But that's okay, it will be fine. So in this case, we want F period customer number. So F period, F is going to be customer table F. F period customer number, comma, space, F period customer name. So the customer name from the F alias, and we will do that in a minute. We also want the S customer table customer number. So let's erase our book rep number, first name, last name, and start date. So right now you have F customer number, F customer name, then we want to do S period bracket customer number, close bracket, comma, space, S period customer name, bracket customer name, close bracket, comma, space, F period bracket city. So we have from the F customer table customer number and customer name, from the S customer table customer number and customer name, and then from the F table the city. Now to do that, we have to assign our tables an alias. So our from now will be customer F, and that's all you have to do is put F beside it. And then customer table again instead of book rep, our customer table again, and we're going to call this one S. Alright, so we have an S table and an F table, but they're really the same table. They have aliases, and I realize it's really kind of confusing, but that's okay. It's not something you're going to do all the time. Alright, so in our where, we're going to say where our F city equals our S city. So let's get rid of our where, and we're going to say where our F table city field equals our S table, S period, open bracket, city field. So where they equal each other, so that says that the tables must match each other, and get rid of your start date, but you're going to leave your and. F customer number is less than S customer number. So we will do F period bracket customer number, close bracket, is less than S period customer bracket customer number. Which means that the customer number from the first table must be less than the customer number from the second table. And close bracket, get rid of our order by because we're not putting anything in order, and make sure you have your semicolon. Keep your fingers crossed, and here you go. So we have our F table and our S table, and here is our city. So A, B, C, CU. Alright, does that make sense? I know it's kind of strange. Okay. Save the query. And I'm sure there's a great way to use that, but for the life of me, I'm not real sure. I would have to run into something in the real world where I would need that, and I have never encountered that yet. Alright, switch to your SQL view. Now we're going to create a SubQuery, and that is on the exam, so make sure you kind of have an idea of how that works. Now we're going to create a SubQuery. A SubQuery is a query within a query. So we're going to erase all of our alias tables and all that kind of stuff. So let's erase everything except for select. On page 651, we are going to select the book rep number field. Close bracket, comma, space, open bracket, first name field, comma, space, and last name field. Make sure you have your open and your closed brackets. That can make a mess. And then hit enter. We're going to use our book rep table, so make sure you use your from command, and then book rep table, book rep, close bracket, and enter. Now our limiter will be where, in all caps because it is a command, open bracket, book rep number, and close your bracket. Now, so where the book rep number is in, and that is a new command, so in all caps IN. So that is the first part of our query, and then we're going to do our subquery. So it's saying that our book rep number must be in the subquery that we are fixing to type. Our subquery starts with select because all our queries start with select, correct? So our subquery will start with select, but we're going to have to put it in parentheses because it is a subquery. We still will do select in all caps, and you'll type your query. It still has the same format as usual. So select book rep number, close bracket, and then go ahead and hit enter because we're going to tell it what table. So from, correct, that's how you choose the table. From is in all caps, and we're going to choose our customer table, close bracket, and hit enter. And the limiter for here will be where. And our field will be city, so bracket city, close bracket, equals, and we're going to tell it a specific town. So since we're typing text, what do we have to put in front? And if you said quote, you are correct. So quote, Adelphia, close quote. And now, since we started with a parenthesis up here in select, we have to close a parenthesis. Remember, if you have an open, you always have to have a close on every parenthesis, on every bracket, on every curly brace. If there's an open, there has to be a close. And then our semicolon. So let's go through this. Our primary query, our first query is select book rep number, first name, last name. So there will be those three fields from the book rep table, but they will only include the book rep numbers that are in the second query. So we start a second query with an open parenthesis, and we do everything's just the same. We have to tell it what we're going to select, where we're going to select it, what table it's coming from, and whatever the limiters are. So in this case, we want the book rep number from the customer table where the city is Adelphia. And then we have to close that parenthesis for the subquery and our semicolon, of course. And we will hit a view. And you should have ended up with two choices there. Yay. Go ahead and save that. And that will be query number 23. It's a lot of queries in one chapter, right? Say okay. Now, long time ago we learned how to update a table using our design view, and some people had challenges with that, but in here it's actually probably going to be a little bit easier because you actually give it the command. Now with these, with the update, with the delete, you have to hit the run instead of the view. So that's the biggest thing that's different here. Now, the first thing we want to do, we're going to erase everything we have. And this is totally different. We are going to do an insert command first. So, we are going to, if you look on page 653, the insert into is a command where you're going to insert a value into a table. So it's a way to add a record without typing it into your data sheet. You can do it from your SQL. And yes, that seems like a lot of work, but you'll know how. So the command you want to use at the very top, instead of select, we're going to choose insert. Insert into. Insert into is your command. Now we're going to insert into the seminar offerings table. So bracket seminar, and close your brackets, and then hit enter. And then values is your next command. So values in all caps because it is a command. And it won't go beside it. It has us hit enter, and then in parentheses the values are going to be BCJ21. And remember, since it is text, you have to put your quotes around it, comma, space, quote, S06, close quote, comma, space, 2, comma, space, and 0, and close that. Now that's going to fit into our table, seminar offerings, and these are the fields, the 4 fields of the seminar offerings table. And that would be something you just have to remember in your head. Alright, so this time instead of view, you want to hit run. So hit run, and it says you're about to append 1 row, and we're going to say yes. And you don't see anything, we just know that it worked. We hope. And the file, save as, save object as, save as, and this is going to be chapter 10, query 24. Now, you don't do this because it's going to mess up your stuff, but let me show you what we just did. If you go to your seminar offerings table, and here we go, seminar offerings table, you can see that we just added BCJ21, BCJ21, SO6, 2 and 0. You just added that in there. Pretty cool, right? Alrighty then. Because you have to see what you just did, right? Now, on page 654, we're going to use an update command. So instead of inserting new fields or a new record, this is going to update your seminar offerings table. So erase all of your code and type update in all caps. Then you have to tell it what table you're going to update. which is the seminar offerings table. Hit enter. Now we have to tell it what field we're going to update and what we are going to do to it. So set is the command for that. Set in all caps, and our field is going to be hours spent. I remember before we did this in design view of our table, and we also did it in our queries in our design that way too. Hours spent. So this is another way. Close bracket equals. So this is saying that we're going to set all of the hours spent in seminar offerings to 1 hour. Now we're going to have a limiter, so it won't be all of them. So our limiter is where, so all caps where, because it's code. Open bracket, and we have to say which field, customer number. So they're going to limit the customer number field equals, and since it's text, we have to do our quote BCJ21, where BCJ21, close our quote. So now we know that we're looking only for that customer number. BCJ21 is the only customer number we're going to change. And so now we have an and. It has to be a customer number of BCJ21 and the seminar code, so bracket seminar code, close bracket, equals, parenthesis because it is a text, S06, close the bracket. So we're going to change the seminar offerings table hours spent field for customer number BCJ21 and seminar code S06, so they have to have both S06 to 1. So it's going to change the one that we just put in. Alright, now since this is an update command, you will hit run instead of you will hit run, there you go, run instead of view. So make sure you hit run. And it says you're about to update one row. Remember the last one was append, this one is update. So we say yes, and then we save it. And I will go back and show you what you've done. Chapter 10, query 25. Say OK. So once again, this is the seminar offerings table, and we change the hours on BCJ21 S06, and hours spent was changed to 1. Remember before we typed it in as 0. Very good. And close that. Alright, so the next one is using the delete command. So we will delete a specific customer. So select all of that, our code, caps lock, delete, because that is our command. Delete from will tell us what table we're going to take it out of. So delete from is our command, and our table, bracket, seminar offerings. Close bracket and hit enter. Now for our limiter, where, in all caps because it is a command, customer number, close bracket equals. So we're going to delete something from seminar offerings, and it's going to be a customer number, and it's going to be customer number BCJ21, so the one we just put in. Make sure you put your quotes around it, BCJ21, close your quote, And it has an and, so all caps and space. And the field is going to be seminar code, close bracket, equals. And since it is text, we must put a quote around it, S06. So everything we've just done, if this works, should be deleted. Make sure that you have your semicolon there. And you're going to hit run. And it says, hello, you're about to delete a row. And you say, yes, I know. Then we're going to save, and I will show you what you just did. File, save as, save object, save as. And this is going to be query number 26. Y'all are going to so miss Access when you're done. Say OK, and you're done. Now let me show, well, almost done. Let me show you what you just did. Seminar offerings table, right? BCJ21 with a seminar card at S06 should be gone, correct? If we did this right. So BCJ21 S06 is now gone. So congratulations, good job. So let's go ahead and close everything. And then we're going to restore our font size of our sequel to 8. So go back to where we started at the very beginning. File, Options, Object Designers, Query Design, Size. Change it to 8. And then say OK. And then you're done. All right, have fun with your assignments.